Okay. So we are going to do the design of the low pass filter with a linear phase of slope alpha, and the cutoff frequency is given as omega c. So how do we write this? In the first class, if you remember, the impulse response in the frequency domain, hd of omega, we wrote it as, right? Okay. What was this hd of omega? Is nothing but, for a low pass filter, what is the range? What is the range of values you have? It is e power minus j omega into alpha. Just a minute. Okay. For mod of omega less than omega c. Okay. And 0 for omega c less than mod of omega less than pi. So when I say the ideal low pass filter, how does the response look? We had drawn this, remember? We draw it again, no problem. So for, you have something like this. This is how your ideal low pass filter should look. So this is your plus pi. Since it's a symmetric filter, whether it is symmetric or anti-symmetric, okay, in terms of hd of omega, if you write, so this is your cutoff frequency plus omega c minus omega c. Is it not? This is how your ideal low pass filter characteristics will look. That means from, for mod omega less than omega c, you are having the filter response, whereas from omega c to pi, or omega minus omega c to minus pi, there is nothing. So this is the ideal low pass filter response. It's always good practice to write this. Even in your textbooks, you may not really find this one. Okay, so this is hd of omega. How do you do the design? Let us see. So first thing is, you need to, the corresponding impulse response. Okay, the corresponding impulse response you will find out. How? If you people write along with me, you will understand better. Okay. Corresponding impulse response in the time domain, hd of n, you can roughly say that it is, since your omega c is continuous, even in the, though you want your impulse response omega n, in the time domain it is discrete, and in the frequency domain it is continuous. So how do you write this? So the integration is 1 by 2 pi. I told you it is a periodic function with 1 by 2 pi. This is what the assumption we made in the starting of the chapter itself, I told you. And the range of integration is from minus pi to pi. hd of omega, since it is continuous, inverse transform e power j omega n, e power j omega n into d omega. So this is how you will get your hd of n. So you have your impulse response low pass filter. You have the thing that is given to you. It is, you want to design a linear phase which has a slope. Linear phase means here again the slope of the filter is shown, right? Hold it like this. Okay, the slope of the filter is important for us. The cutoff frequency omega c. This is what is given to you. Okay, certain extra things that I'm writing, you please write down. Okay, maybe in the notes also a little bit. These kind of things, they won't repeat it again. Okay, please have a look at that. Now, how do I do the integration? hd of omega, I have expressed it in terms of e power minus j omega alpha. You substitute that here. What happens? This is 1 by 2 pi integral minus pi to pi. So you may think this is a derivation. It is not a derivation actually. This is the procedure you will follow for any filter given. You will draw this response. You look at the integration limits. Put that hd of omega e power j omega n d omega. You will find hd of n, or h of n you will find. HD of n you will get in time domain. Next thing you will do is h of n is multiplication of window function with this. So whichever window function is there, you choose the window function and you multiply along with this. Then you write the response based on the value of the capital N. That's all. That is the basic. In short, I just told you what is the procedure you will follow to design a filter. Very, very simple it is. Okay. So that is why pay attention and do it. So HD of omega means this is e power minus j omega alpha into e power j omega n d omega, right? E power minus j omega alpha because it is given in this range. So what I'll do, if I'm substituting this, okay, when I substitute e power minus j omega here, what happens to this limit? The moment I substitute this to this, here something happens. What is that happens? The limit of this you can see varies from mod of omega less than omega c means the limit of this instead of minus omega minus pi to pi, this becomes minus limit changes to minus omega c to plus omega c. Okay, so I can rewrite this as hd of n is equal to 1 by 2 pi 1 by 2 pi integral minus omega c to plus omega c e power minus j omega alpha into e power j omega n d omega. Okay, this I am going to simplify. How do I do that? Sorry. Simplify this. How do you do this simplification? All of you do this integration along with me. So you can write this as, how can you write this? hd of n is equal to 1 by 2 pi, you keep it outside. Okay. How do you write it? Integral minus omega c to plus omega c. Okay. E power j omega you take outside. N minus alpha d omega. Okay. So this is the equation you are having. Alright. So integral of exponential is nothing but the same. So do the integration. I hope you know this. So what happens here is you will have e power j omega n minus alpha by j into n minus alpha over the range minus omega c to plus omega c. You have to evaluate this. Evaluate this. So in the notes, they have taken e power minus j omega outside. So just look and do the integration properly. There's slight mistake in that. Okay. So this is 1 by 2 pi. Okay. 1 by 2 pi. What happens here? This will be e power j omega c n minus alpha by j into n minus alpha minus e power minus j omega c n minus alpha, the lower limit, upper limit minus the lower limit by j into n minus alpha. So what I'll do is always I've told you, you will try to express this in terms of sine and cos. So what I can do is I'll send this to j inside n minus alpha. I'll take it out. I'll do a little bit of rearrangement. So this will be 1 by pi into n minus alpha. I take it out. Okay, and this is e power j omega c n minus alpha minus e power minus j omega c n minus alpha divided by 2j. All right. So what is this term? This is nothing but sine of omega c into n minus alpha. Sine of this term, sine of this theta. E power j theta minus e power minus j theta by 2j is nothing but sine theta. That form. So this whole term reduces to this divided by this denominator term, pi into n minus alpha. If you see in all your problems, if it is a low pass filter problem, right, directly if the question is given, the value for this will be given to you. It's a low pass filter. You will do this, you will do the integration, okay? You'll always get it in this form itself, where alpha is the phase of the signal, omega c is the cutoff frequency. Alright, so this is your HD of n. So you got your HD of n, and one thing that you extra condition that you should always write is small n not equal to alpha. So if n is equal to alpha, what is going to happen? This becomes 0, this becomes indeterminate form, 0 by 0 form. So make sure you write this at the side. Now you want to also find out for that case, that is for n is equal to alpha, what happens. So you substitute HD of alpha. This is for n not equal to alpha. So if HD of alpha you need, this is nothing but 1 by 2 pi in the integral, that is integral minus omega c to plus omega c. Okay, here in this you substitute n is equal to alpha. So what happens? This becomes e power j omega alpha minus alpha d omega. So for this case also you are trying to find out, that's all. Okay, this is n not equal to alpha. Okay, this is n is equal to alpha. What you're going to do? Okay, for n is equal to alpha, you substitute this. What do you get? You will get e power j omega 0. Evaluate that. HD of alpha is equal to 1 by 2 pi integral minus omega c to plus omega c e power 0 d omega is equal to what? This is integral of d omega. That's all. Right? This is integral of d omega 1 by 2 pi. Very simple integration, which is nothing but 1 by 2 pi into omega from minus omega c to plus omega c. What is this? This is nothing but 1 by 2 pi omega c minus of minus omega c, which is nothing but 2 omega c by 2 pi, which is omega c by pi. Okay. So HD of alpha is this. Okay. So this HD of n is non-causal in nature. Because it does not depend on the previous value. So what we will do is, you want a finite filter. What you need is a causal FIR filter, and its impulse response, actual impulse response, you want it to be finite. Because you want it to be finite, what you're going to do, you obtain it by, or you truncate the ideal infinite impulse response. Okay. How do you do this truncation? Okay. How do you do? How to do this now? We had seen in the earlier classes your impulse response HD of n. Okay. You will truncate it by using by a window function W of n. Okay, so how do I do this? What is the range of the window function? The range of the window function should be some 0 to n minus 1. Okay, less than or equal to, this should be the range of the window function. So I will get your h of n is hd of n into w of n. This we saw earlier also. So what happens to your h of n here? You have this. This is your hd of alpha and hd of n is this. So this you multiply with a, in general you write it with respect to a window function. So your actual h of n for a low pass filter, how do you get it? You get it as sine of omega c into n minus alpha by pi into n minus alpha into w of n 0 less than or equal to n less than n minus 1. Okay, and it is omega c by pi into w of n for n equal to alpha. This is for n not equal to alpha. This is for n is equal to alpha. So the entire thing, your h of n, you have written in one equation. This value into w of n, because hd of n we obtained for both n not equal to alpha and n equal to alpha. For n equal to alpha we got this, n not equal to alpha we got this. So you write both the conditions, n not equal to alpha, n equal to alpha. And because your w of n is used and the range of w of n is 0 to n minus 1, your actual h of n is this. So right now what have we achieved? We had an infinitely long impulse response hd of n. That impulse response, we use the window function. Now what is a window function? We don't know. Any window you can use based on your stop band attenuation and everything. Those things we'll see later. So choosing the window while doing the problems we'll understand. So you choose a window, whatever window it is, you multiply the window has a range 0 to n minus 1. So this is a finite length. So which means you're truncating your impulse response to be finite. Why should we truncate the impulse response to be a finite duration? Because this is an FIR filter, finite impulse response filter. It is linear in nature. Because we want that linearity in the phase, so you can see n minus alpha as your omega varies, you can see linear variation in alpha also if you look at the equation. So you are ensuring that the filter is having linear phase. And how is that achieved? By truncating the impulse response, because the main condition, the necessary and sufficient condition for you to have your finite impulse response is that, sorry, linear phase is that your impulse response should be finite. And the second thing is the h of n should be symmetric in nature or antisymmetric in nature. By default, you will draw the waveform like this. Symmetric and antisymmetric, and how you get your hd of omega in your frequency domain, that proof we will see. Okay. This you have understood, everybody. Okay. One more important equation that you need to write down here is uh, for your h of n, right? Just write down for h of n. After writing this, after every problem, you can write a conclusion like this. For h of n to be linear phase, even when you solve the problems, you can write this. Alpha, the value of alpha, the value of phase alpha must be chosen such that h of n is symmetric or antisymmetric. Okay. How about the midpoint? This we had seen. So the two conditions also you are satisfying. One is You're satisfying the condition that it is having a finite duration. Next, second condition also you are satisfying, it is symmetric or it is anti-symmetric. So in 5 minutes this is going to end, meeting is going to end. I think after 5 minutes we will wind up. No problem. You don't have to rejoin back. Just listen to this. So here only one more thing that I want to tell you is that since you want a symmetric or anti-symmetric value, you will it will happen only if you choose your alpha value. Alpha is always chosen such that alpha is equal to n minus 1 by 2. Okay, why we are doing this? Because your HD of n, say it is symmetric about, say n is equal to alpha. If it is symmetric about n is equal to alpha, then what happens? Your W of n is also symmetric about, at n is equal to alpha, if it is symmetric, your W of n will be symmetric about the midpoint. Midpoint, say if you consider n minus 1 by 2. Okay, so roughly in most of your cases, we will consider your alpha is equal to n minus 1 by 2. In most of your problems, alpha value will be given, or in the question will be like this: some value e power minus j omega 3. That means your phase is 3 radians. That is the meaning. So when you know the phase, you can easily calculate your, if you ensure that this condition is satisfied, it means that you are satisfying symmetric or antisymmetric property. Okay, this is the basic meaning, and it also means that the width of the main lobe of your response rate of the window, that actually gives you the transition width. So the main things that you need is alpha. What is the transition width of your window? Transition width means, this transition width of the window tells you everything about how much the window can capture. So it's about this transition width. It is about this alpha value that you choose equal to n minus 1, and the based on this and the stop band attenuation, that is beyond how much dB should there be a cutoff, that is based on your side lobe value. These are the side lobe values, side lobe or stop band attenuation value. We will see that in detail. Okay, you don't have to worry. All these things will be specified in the design. They may give you the alpha value, they may tell you omega c. You will have to calculate the n value using this, and then you will have to just do this integration like this, whatever we did in the problems. You remember this: find out the impulse response, multiply the impulse response with the W of n. These are the basic steps to actually follow for your problems. Okay, the steps are formally given in the notes also, the different steps. You can have a look at it. Okay, all of you please don't go away. Let me, you know hope you have understood this. Let me just capture the screen. I need to take the attendance. 25 are there now, because I'm marking now your this one is enabled. I need to mark your attendance like this. So you just capture the names. If possible, from the next class, you all of you please log in with your name followed by USN also. So it will be easy for me to mark the attendance in the software. Just a minute, just a minute. After this, it will log out, no problem. Once it logs out, you people can join the next class. We will just have 10 minutes. One more thing, I'll be uploading that symmetric and anti-symmetric proof. Not just the proof, how you need to solve it and all that. So please go through that also. Okay. Once you do that, it will be easy for us to solve the problems.